and jump into this real quick. Oh, pardon me, ma'am. Sorry, gotta come on through here.
Rob's Arcade, Rob's Arcade, where the games get played and the games get saved so they can be played on another day. Rob's Arcade.
Wow. There we go. It's nice and beautiful. We are hanging out here in the official Rob's Arcade. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm really excited about this. This is probably one of the coolest things I've experienced probably any kind of video game interaction since I was a kid. Like this is one of those mind-blowing moments of kind of like my childhood really come to life. And I'm literally right now rushing through my brain thinking of all the unlockables, all of the things that I've unlocked and all the secrets and hidden things that I have found throughout the years in video games. And this is probably the coolest unlockable right here. We're hanging out in Los Santos, GTA. I know we got another GTA on the way, but there's still so much to find and discover here. In fact, I've recently just opened up. I've had this arcade for quite a while, and I wasn't even really sure how to really utilize it. Like I thought this was just like a cover. I didn't really expect it to ever really be anything other than just a spray painted hole in the wall with two goons just kind of sitting around twiddling on their phones. But it's been cool, man. Like it it all really just kind of getting a little sidetracked as I do my intro here, but it all started just playing around on this laptop up. Actually, you can kind of see the windows behind me up there, up on the right-hand corner. There's a couple of little windows you can see. And in that office, I have a laptop, and I was just kind of just fooling around. And it said something about manage, but I got to do this first, and I got to do that. And so I started playing around, and next thing I know, I come back to my arcade, and it's completely redone video games that you can actually play. My employees are actually doing their job. And there's this showcase behind me. I have a feeling I could do something with that, but I haven't quite figured out what trophies or what I can put in there just yet. But it's wild. I could come in here, sit down, and actually do a Rob's Arcade show in Rob's Arcade. It's always been one of my favorite things to do. These little catch-up videos that I do, Monday motivational videos and all of that. But to know that I can actually do a Rob's Arcade in an arcade is pretty cool. So anyway, now that I've kind of flipped out about that. Oh, look at this. Look, got some money in my safe there. But now that I've kind of talked about this a little bit and done my little intro, thanks for tuning in here, you guys. Welcome back to the show. It is Groundhog Day. How about that? So we're now rolling into February. January went by in a blur, and I just feel like we're almost to spring, but we still got a little bit of time. We still got a little bit of time to go. I don't really buy into that whole Groundhog Day thing. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's cute. I love the movie. Groundhog Day with Bill Murray is probably one of my favorite films of all time. I remember seeing that in the theater. Me and my dad went to go see that. My dad and I went to go see a lot of Bill Murray movies when I was growing up. He would take us to the movies quite a bit. I remember seeing What About Bob, Groundhog Day. Pretty sure we did Ghostbusters 1. No, Ghostbusters 2. Pretty sure I saw Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2. I'm trying to think what else. Bill Murray. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. But anyway, I love that film. Great movie, but I don't really buy into the whole Groundhog Day bit. I feel like, uh, winter will end when spring begins. We still got a couple of weeks left, another few weeks, about another month. I like the idea that people think, this groundhog pops out and it's like, oh, winter's over, or whatever. And it's like, I think it always is the same declaration, right? It's like the hedgehog declares whatever it is. Got 4 more weeks of winter or whatever. So it's just like, yeah. Um, yeah, happy Groundhog Day, nonetheless. Like I said, we're jumping into February here, starting off a brand new month, a brand new week. Hopefully, you guys had a great weekend. It's been nasty. It's been like ice and snow and winter storms all across the country, really. East Coast has been just obliterated with snow and ice and cold temperatures and just not even like I said, like not like snow so much as just ice. It's insane. Videos of people like going to the bar with their ice skates and sleds and people ice skating in their parking lots and like not in lakes and stuff but like in their actual parking lots. I didn't realize how thick the ice was. Now that it's starting to melt, you could see that like the ice is actually, God, like inches deep. Um, and it was to the point where you like it looks like snow. Um, but it's not even, it's not even denting a little bit as you walk across it. Um, it's like first thing in the morning, it's a little easier, I feel like, to walk on. And then as the evening goes on, man, it just gets, or the day goes on, it just gets like wet and slippery and just you kind of glide all over the place. And it's really unreal. Uh, I'm typically not one of those. It's like, can we go ahead and get on to spring or summer already? But I'm kind of, I'm kind of over winter at this point. It's been pretty. Last week, oh my gosh, last week was a killer week at work. Um, I didn't get really any snow days. My days off kind of fell on our snow day, so everybody got to enjoy a couple extra days off. But for me, it was really just like business as usual. And then instead of just coming in on a Tuesday as normal, I kind of had to come in and get things set up and get things ready and help with the ice and the snow and then close. I typically don't, I did like a lot of open to close shifts. I wanted to make sure that like my staff was safe. Like it was one of those things like I'm very close. I could be to work in just a few moments. Um, and some of our openers are retired or, you know, um, same with some of our um, just morning staff in general. We have a few who come in the evenings after they get off from their other jobs, and they weren't going into their other jobs, or it's getting kind of dangerous at night. So it was kind of one of those things like with the hours being a little shortened because it was kind of like on short days, and even having some of their shifts cut short because of that. I had a lot of the staff just stay home the first few days after that initial storm, like that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afterwards. Like just stay home. If you can't make it in, don't worry about it. We'll kind of help cover that just because like I said it's been nasty. There's one guy he's amazing. He's one of our openers, but he's an older gentleman. It's like, yeah, dude, no, you stay home. We'll figure out something else. A couple of days, like I've opened, and we've had some other staff, but it's like, yeah, I don't want you out there at like 4 in the morning because we have to open up pretty early. So it's like I don't want you out there at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when nobody's out there, and actually like slip and fall, and there's nobody out there, like hurt yourself and wind up being out there for a while or something. So yeah, been telling a lot of our staff just to kind of take it easy, stay home. Um, but it's crazy. There's like, and a lot of it's still like really bad. Like a lot of the parking lots, and it's crazy. We're now a week later and still, uh, dealing with this snow and this ice storm. It's still like our street is starting to clear up, but it's patchy at best. Uh, Still a lot of snow and ice everywhere, and just really it makes it tough to go anywhere. Doing even to you know like walk across the street, even check your mail. Just even to go outside and check your mail, it's just kind of a pain. You're kind of slipping and sliding all over the place, and you can't really shovel it. Like I said, it's solid, inches thick ice. You just got to wait for that sun to kind of come out and help break it up and melt it a little bit, so you can kind of get in there maybe, and you and the sunshine together can maybe make a dent in it. But yeah, last week, man, it was a brutal week, and like I said, I didn't really get to take advantage. I know some people had a nice long weekend and got to take advantage of some of these snow days, but unfortunately, um, I didn't so much. But man, what a end to the month. It was a long one. Um, I think by the end of the week, a lot of us were just kind of joking, like this is. Like it was funny. 'Cause like I said, a lot of folks had a short week because of the snow and the ice, but it also felt like the longest week at the same time, which I could totally relate to. But hopefully everybody's been safe. Hopefully you guys are all safe and well. It's been crazy. I think just an insane number of people uh, um, being checked into hospitals, emergency rooms, sort of thing, with like slips and falls. Even myself yesterday, I was just grabbing a workout and walking across a grassy, like slopey area. Pardon me, just taking a little sip of coffee there. But like walking through like a little slopey patch of like it was like a grassy area, but it was all covered in snow and ice, and it kind of sloped a little bit. Um, so I kind of like slid with it and just very cartoon character like feet sideways, you know. Uh, but luckily, I wear a lot of layers. Like I had my hoodie and my jacket and coat and everything on. So as I like landed on my side of my arm, 'cause you gotta know how to fall too. You can't just like land on your back. You can't land on your butt. You got to do like kind of like a twist, like a roll and twist. You know, kind of flex a little bit, tense up that upper body, land on your arm. I didn't even feel it. Um, but anybody who was going by at the time definitely got a nice little chuckle. I laughed. It was hilarious. I couldn't help but laugh. It's like Jesus, you know. All it needed was like a little like a slide whistle or like a little zing, like a little sound effect. It was perfect. But yeah, it's been dangerous. I've had, and this isn't an exaggeration. I've counted 5 cars stuck out front of our home, just because of the way the roads are sloped. I haven't wanted to leave, um, just based on the way the driveway slopes. And people thought I was like, "Are you like?" They're like, "Oh, I'm sure you'll be fine." Like once you, I was like, I'm sure, maybe, but there's a good chance." And literally, like right where I'm talking about is where everybody's gotten stuck. Like somebody, like literally almost in our front yard. Um, but like a few, just for a moment or two, um, a couple for a bit longer. But at the same token, I'm like, I'm sure I'll be fine. I'm sure everything will be good. And then I'll be on Instagram or TikTok or just watching a reel on something, and it's always my make and model likes doing just spinning like a ballerina down the street, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not risking anything like that. And not that if I got my car stuck at my house, it's a huge ordeal. But no, we're not. But the people like flying up and down my street like it's nothing. It's just like you got people are crazy, man. And like some of the main streets are fine, but a lot of the side streets and most of the neighborhoods aren't good at all. Like I said, even like a week later, our street is just patchy at best. Uh, I've even started using like a walking stick, which it was my father's, and it's really nice. It's actually a really nice um, walking stick, but with the snow and especially the ice and everything, it's really come in handy. Um, but I'm thinking about incorporating it, making it maybe a part of my normal normal fashion. There's a gentleman who actually frequents my work, and it's really nice gentleman. In fact, we've actually started talking about um, Spider-Man comics and some of its religious and like spiritual commentary, if you will. It's just really cool. It's like a really probably one of the coolest moments um, of January. Like one of my biggest highlights is this um, this gentleman discovering these Spider-Man movies. Um, he he was a big fan of Tobey Maguire, and when I went to what was this? It's like what the hell's talk? I was a movie in the background. Speaking of movies, um, Arctic Apocalypse, some cheesy. You always got something on in the background over here. Speaking of winter storm, some cheesy movie about Arctic weather and winter storms and all of that. But anyway, we started talking about like I'm trying to even think like how it began, but we started talking about like Tobey Maguire and the Spider-Man movies, and he was like, "Oh, I like." He's an older gentleman, you know. And he's like, "I like Tobey Maguire." You know, he's like he got kind of excited, like, "Oh, I like that guy." He's like, "What is this? What you know? What should I be watching?" He's a Spider-Man. Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, you need to." Oh, I do remember now. So, um, everybody knows the story of the original Tobey Maguire um, Spider-Man, where he is infatuated with his cute little neighbor, which isn't like the comics. That's not like in the comics, but in the movies, his neighbor Mary Jane, he's infatuated with her, and you know, always has been. And you know, she's got the popular boyfriend. She's the popular girl at school, and he decides he wants to impress her. You know, he wants to get the girl. So what does he do? He he goes and tries to get some money by wrestling and trying to get some instant fame and recognition, right? And as I was watching this movie, I'm always doing rewatches, and I went back and I started rewatching all of them, like really sitting down and really looking at them and kind of picking them apart again. And you know, now that I'm another year older, and as I'm looking at them, I'm like, wow, you know, it's like it's greed, you know, it's that lust and the greed and some of those like the basic seven deadly sins, the envy of Flash Thompson and how he wants to be like him, and how you know the greed, that greed for money to get the car, and all of these little seven deadly sins play a part in his decision to go and you know try to earn some quick cash, which ultimately those events leads to the death of Peter's Uncle Ben. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. You know, it's really neat. You sit back and kind of look at it, and then all of a sudden there's like more of those seven deadly sins when you look at the wrath, you know, um, and all of those things that follow those moments after. But it was really cool, and I was kind of like thinking about that and watching. I was like, you know, I got to share this. So I did, and he, like I said, he loved it. He was like, "Wow, he's a very religious person himself. He's like part of a whole. He's a you know he's got a father and a brother title and all of these things." And I excuse me, I was like, "Wow, this is really cool. I think he's gonna like this." And so I shared it with him, and he did. He was like, "That's really neat. I didn't know." And he's like, "I've got to go and watch this movie now. I've got to go and see this and see what you're talking about." And so he did, and he came back, and he was like, "Oh my God, Robert, I love this movie. This was so good." He's like, "I had no idea I would enjoy this movie so much." And I'm like, "Really, you watched?" He's like, "I watched it." We started talking about it. And, you know, we started talking about the moment too when Um, Green Goblin shows up, and Aunt May's in the middle of her prayer. He's like, "Finish it, finish it!" You know, such a great moment there as well. And he mentioned the upside down kiss, and I said, "Oh wow, really?" I was like, "Yeah, he liked that." And I was like, "Okay," because he's like, at the end, she was kind of like, "Wait a minute, was that?" But you couldn't tell because it was upside down, and then she kissed him upright, and it was like, "Wait a minute, where have I felt those lips before?" Kind of a thing, you know. And so he's like, "I'm gonna watch the next one," and I was like, "Oh, great, that's amazing." I was like, "I think you're really gonna like the next one," and I was like, "Don't forget about that kiss." I was like, "That kiss is going to play back into this whole thing later." And he watched the second and the third, and we talked about that and how that kiss does kind of go through. But as we were talking about each movie, we were looking for some of those spiritual and religious pieces that play into the stories, and I think that um, the cool thing about comics is that as much as they are about like gamma rays and cosmic waves and weather machines and superpowers and all of these, maniacal whatever super villains and super geniuses and just all these crazy things, right? Moon bases. I mean, there's like so many crazy, wild things in comic books. Mutants, cyborgs, laser beams. It goes on and on. The the through line, though, I think, is that all of the stories, I'm like looking at the comic book covers around my room right now, and all of the stories, regardless of what planet they're taking place on, or what dimension they take place, or what company put them out, there is a tale of morality and a tale of justice and of doing good. And not all, I was just reading a comic the other day with the Flash, and it wasn't about defeating and beating up the bad guy. It was ultimately realizing about just like sitting down and talking with them, which is such a great point because the whole idea was based on building a better central city and ultimately building a better universe, right? Better central city, a better metropolis, a better Gotham, a better New York, a better world altogether. And it starts here in this one place. And it was like they both wanted the same things. And so the Flash realized if we want a better tomorrow, if we want a better world, and a place where there isn't violence, and a place where the people of Central City don't have to fear the criminal element, then we can't fight each other. We have to sit down and we have to talk and we have to move past this war and this back and forth because they had been spending issues fighting and going back and forth and blowing up sidewalks and smashing windows and all of these things. And in the midst of trying to make Central City a better place, they were ultimately just tearing it apart. And it was such a great message. At the very end of the book, it's like if you want a better tomorrow, you want a better place for your kids to live in, you can't fight it out. You have to ultimately sit down and like find that middle ground. And so it's like as I'm saying, like there's all these crazy things, and again, all told in a tale of a man with super speed and a guy with a heat wave gun and another dude with gorilla like strength and somebody else who's got a cold gun and the mirror master, and it's all these crazy things. But in the heart of it, it was ultimately about sitting down, finding compromise, and not fighting and warring and going back and forth. Because you can fight, you can argue, you can stomp, you can slam doors. I love throwing that in there. And you can do all these things if you want, but ultimately, you got to find a compromise. You got to use your words. You got to sit down. You got to talk it out. And that's what I love about comics in general and just all of those stories. And so there is, I think, a piece to that, and religion and those tales and those morals and those stories and how there's a connection and a very cool through line. So it was very neat. Like we spent like kind of like that last um, week wanting to get things back to business as normal, so I could kind of catch up with this guy and find out because this was like that week leading into this like snowstorm. We were talking about all this, and then I couldn't talk to the guy for a while because of all the snow and the ice. And he's an older gentleman, so it was a few days before he could really get out. And um, we could talk. But actually, he wound up watching Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2. We talked a lot about that. Um, a little bit of a hard sale. He was like, "Why are they rebooting it? Why are they redoing it?" And then he watched it and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I loved it." And we really started talking about the death of the Stacy story arc and all of these little things. And we've really had a great time. We've been really geeking out. And I said, "Well, you got three more. There's three more Spider-Mans." He's like, he's like, "Yeah, I'm excited for those." Um, and I told him like the big payoff is he's going to be able to see Toby again. And he says, "I know. That's what I'm waiting for. I can't wait. I get to see Toby." He goes, "Is he in the suit?" He goes, "No, don't tell me." He goes, "But is he?" it was it was adorable. That's the only thing I could say. It was absolutely adorable. It's like, "Is he in the suit?" Kind of a thing. It's like I get to see him again and all these things. But um, it's cool though. Like we're thinking of actually putting together a corner on Mondays or something where we can kind of sit down and talk about these things um, and share, and not just in Spider-Man, because I feel like it's all over the place with comics and all of their stories and all of their tales. I think X-Men is probably one of the best just collections of um, being treated equally and being different. I mean, there's a lot of racial relevancy, I think, in X-Men issues, but I think you can also put in there. I mean, they did it with Bryan Singer's X-Men. The whole being Jewish and being persecuted for being different as a Jew, and then also the same thing as a mutant. So it's the exact same thing: being persecuted, being branded. Um, in the comics, in the films, the normal folk want everybody to be. Oh, that's my alarm going off there. Um, they want everybody kind of like pinned up and put in these containment centers and separated from everybody else, and ultimately eliminated and or bred out of existence. And all of that's within those X-Men titles. And I mean, gosh, Spawn. I mean, Spawn is a comic book series that basically spends 1 foot in heaven and 1 foot in hell throughout the entire run. It's all there. It's really cool, and that's just I don't know. It's been one of my favorite moments of January. Don't go anywhere. I think I'm actually going to grab something to drink, maybe a little water, take a quick little break, and then come right back, share a little bit more. I feel like I'm just kind of getting started in this little catch up here, and I kind of want to talk a little bit more about my conversations with the father and comics and really the church with Spider-Man 3. Yeah. So anyway, hang tight. Throw me some comments. Let me know how you're doing. If you got any crazy winter ice stories going on, and um, just let me know how you're doing. Make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of each other, and make sure you don't spend that quarter anywhere else. I'll see you guys in just a moment. Peace out.